Hey YouTube, Brian here. In my last video, we went over all of the support Maliss will be receiving in Alliance Insight, and I also showed you a demo of the cards in action. In today's video, we're going to be going over all of the various one-card combos available to Maliss after Alliance Insight, including variations you can do depending on your card choices. Let's get started. So we're going to start by showing all of the Dormouse one-card combos that are available to us after Alliance Insight. And to start, we'll normal summon Dormouse, banish Rabbit, and then use Rabbit to go ahead and set our GWC 06. Here, we're going to link into Splash Mage instead of Lizard. Post Alliance Insight, going into Splash Mage is a bit better, just because you then don't have to banish your Dormouse, and you can summon her and then banish her later on with Maliss in the Mirror. Effectively, that gives us one extra body, and although Splash Mage is weaker to something like Impermanence or Effect Veiler than Haggard is, because Haggard banishes for cost, the fact of the matter is that if your opponent did not Imperm or Veiler your Dormouse, then they probably don't have it. And so here we're going to just use Splash Mage to bring back Dormouse, make Red Ransom, and then Red Ransom to go ahead and search the Field Spell, and then Field Spell banish Maliss in the Mirror to target our Dormouse to banish it and add a copy of March Hare from our deck to our hand. Be prepared to see this exact sequence a lot, where Maliss in the Mirror is banished to banish Dormouse and then add March Hare. This is effectively the new age make Decoder, make Ransom, summon Decoder back combo line. And Red Ransom is going to be our 5th summon here, so we're still perfectly fine under Nibiru, because even if our opponent has Nibiru, we can go ahead and chain GWC 06, banish our Red Ransom for cost, and then Red Ransom will trigger on a new chain to come back and then banish Chessie Cat from the deck, and we still have our March Hare in hand to continue comboing as well. So here, we're going to trigger our Dormouse to summon her since we haven't used her effect yet, and then unfortunately, since we are Cybers locked from making Splash Mage, we can't make SP Loto Knight here, but that's still perfectly fine because we're going to just go ahead and use our March Hare. So this first combo, I'm not going to show the Cybers Wicked line. That'll be in the next combo that I show, but this combo is going to be a bit lower to the ground, so it won't end on as crazy of a board, but it's less commitment, and it's like more conservative in terms of what you use. So we're going to go ahead and use March Hare to banish White Rabbit to summon so that we can go ahead and make White Binder here. And then White Binder is going to go ahead and banish March Hare as well as Red Ransom. March Hare will add herself back, and then Red Ransom will go ahead and banish our Chessie Cat. And then Chessie Cat will banish... Oh, actually before that, we want to use White Binder to set TB11 so that we don't risk drawing into it. And then we can use our Chessie Cat here to banish March Hare and draw 2. And then we can use TB11 to go ahead and banish our White Binder, summon just any name from the deck, and then use White Binder effect to get a 3rd draw, make our Firewall Dragon to add back our March Hare so we can use it on our opponent's turn, and then link summon into Cryptor to end our turn. So we have ended on Cryptor GWC, 3 drawn cards, as well as a March Hare in our hand, in case our GWC 06 gets stopped by something like Ghost Spell. Alright, for this line, I'm going to be showing what you can do if you add Cybers Wicked into your deck. The beginning parts of this combo will all look the same. We're going to go ahead and make Splash Mage, summon back Dormouse, make Red Ransom, add Underground, Underground banish Mirror, and Mirror banish our Dormouse to add March Hare from our deck to our hand, and then summon March Hare. Now here you have a couple different options. You can choose to go ahead and link both Red Ransom and Dormouse into Wicked, and then summon March Hare in Wicked Zone. But I actually prefer to hold off on that and just use my March Hare here. Because if you go into Wicked, you summon March Hare to Wicked Zone, and then you trigger your Red Ransom to summon and banish a copy of Chessie Cat. That becomes a pretty good point for your opponent to Nibiru, because you would have used all of your names by then. And even though Wicked will search you a copy of backup Adagnister, unless you play Link Spider, the backup Adagnister is not actually live, and me personally, I would prefer to just not play Link Spider. I think its use cases are like extremely limited, besides specifically getting Nibiru'd. And in any case, like the line I'm about to show you will play around Nibiru anyway, so there's no need to play Link Spider in the extra deck. So we're going to instead go ahead and use our March Hare here. Even if your opponent Nibiru's here, you can just chain GWC, banish your Red Ransom for cost. On a new chain, Red Ransom will trigger to summon herself back and banish your Chessie Cat from the deck. Then you'll summon Chessie Cat, and you can still go straight into White Binder. And White Binder set TB11, TB11 banish White Binder, so on and so forth. So here we're going to summon March Hare, go ahead and link into White Binder, and then White Binder effect will banish Chessie. I will banish March Hare and Red Ransom. So same as the last combo. Red Ransom is going to go ahead and banish Chessie, and then Chessie is going to draw after we set TB11 so that we don't draw it from our deck. Now this is now where the combo kind of branches. We go ahead and link Ransom and Binder into Wicked, and then we're going to link Chessie into Lingaribo in order to trigger the Wicked. We're going to use Wicked to go ahead and banish our White Binder so that we get the White Binder draw and summon back as well. So that'll draw our third card, and then Wicked is going to search our backup Adagnister. So here we're going to go ahead and go into Firewall Dragon, and then Firewall Dragon lets us add just any name from the graveyard to our hand. We're just going to be summoning it later on, and Firewall here is also going to act as a different attribute in order for us to make Heat Soul later on. So we're going to go ahead and use backup Adagnister to go ahead and search Wizard, and then we'll just discard one of the cards that we drew, and then we'll use Wizard effect to summon back any name, and we're going to go ahead and make the Cryptor here. After we make the Cryptor, since we linked using a monster in Firewall Zone, we can go ahead and summon the Stormhouse from our hand using Firewall effect. And then once we've gotten all of our uses out of Firewall, we can go ahead and go into Heat Soul, use Heat Soul effect to draw a card. And then here I do something that's like kind of optional, but usually I like to start recycling my names as soon as possible, since after the ban list we only have like 2 Dormouse, we only have 2 White Rabbit, and it can be easy to just like run out of names without knowing it if you're not careful with how you're managing the number of names in your deck. So here I just use Cryptor effect to shuffle one of my White Rabbits back into the deck, and then I chain TB11 to banish my Cryptor for cost and summon a White Rabbit from the deck. Cryptor on resolution is going to banish TB11, and then I'm going to trigger Cryptor effect on a new chain and link all 3 into Akko Talker Adagnister. And then Akko is going to summon back Heat Soul as well as Red Ransom, keeping our Binder engraved, which is good if you watch my last video, because we want Binder engraved so that she acts as a DD Crow in conjunction with GWC 06. And on our opponent's turn here, Heat Soul is going to draw us another card. So we've drawn 5 cards total, including the one that we discarded for the backup secretary. So if you aren't comfortable with putting yourself to a pretty low life total, you can go with this alternative line instead. Instead of making the Deco target Heat Soul, we can hold on to our Firewall Dragon's bounce, and then use it as an interruption on our opponent's turn instead of using it to bounce our own cards and extending that way. So most of this combo is going to be the same as the last one, so I won't comment on every single action that is happening here. But essentially, you're going to be trading the 2 draws you get from Deco target Heat Soul with the Firewall bounce, and there are a couple different ways you can go about positioning your Akko Talker at the end of this combo as well. But in the previous combo, we would be using Firewall Dragon here to bounce a Maliss name from the graveyard so that we can link for Cryptor, then use Firewall's other effect to summon the name from hand so that we can go into Heat Soul, and then we can make an Akko Talker with the Cryptor underneath him. Instead, here we're going to forgo the Heat Soul line. We're going to just make Cryptor, hold on to our Firewall Dragon. We can still do our Cryptor Shuffle to start and recycling our engine. And then when we summon the Cryptor back, we can link straight for Akko Talker instead of going for any of the Heat Soul stuff. Now, you can position your Akko Talker a couple different ways. So you can summon your Akko Talker in the middle main monster zone here, as I've done, so that you get to keep your White Binder in the graveyard. This is if you want the most flexibility. Your Firewall Dragon will have less bounces, like in the immediate. If you want to get 2 bounces with this Firewall, you have to first use GWC to summon White Binder to this other main monster zone here. But this means that your Binder is in the graveyard, so that if you need her as a DD Crow, you can use her as such. So this setup is a bit more flexible, but if you want to get more bounces with your Firewall Dragon, you can instead place your Akko Talker Adagnister in the extra monster zone instead, since Akko Talker points down, and then Akko Talker will summon Red Ransom and White Binder to each of Firewall's zones, meaning your Firewall Dragon gets to have 3 bounces. But it comes at the cost of you having to leave your White Binder on the field, so you can't use her as a DD Crow as effectively. And that's going to be a decision that's kind of up to you. There's not really like a correct answer, I'd say. It's kind of like what you prefer and like more so what the matchup kind of needs. Like if you think the DD Crow would be very important in any particular matchup, then I would recommend going for this setup instead of going for the Akko Talker and the extra monster zone. So what happens if you open White Rabbit instead of Dormouse? Now, unfortunately, if you have White Rabbit as your starter, you can't play around Nibiru because you have to set TB11 and use TB11 early in order to get your 2 bodies on board to make your Splash Mage, and then Splash Mage to summon your Dormouse back. This Dormouse summon will be the 5th summon, so if your opponent has Nibiru, they would probably Nibiru you here. But it's worth mentioning that these 1-card combos are very rarely going to be the combos that you go for, because obviously you start your turn with 4 other cards, and it's very likely that you draw an extender of some sort, either backup secretary or maybe like a Bestial. And if you do have a secondary extender, your lines will be very different, and they'll play around different cards as well. But for this video, we're only going to be covering the 1-card combos, should they happen, and the 2-card combos will probably come in a future video, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. But assuming our opponent doesn't have Nibiru, we go ahead and make the ransom here, and we're going to do the same thing as we did before, banishing the mirror, banishing the Dormouse to add the March Hare, and then Dormouse effect to summon herself back. Now here we haven't used the Dormouse effect yet, so we're actually going to use it now to banish Chessie in order to get our 3rd body for Binder, and we can go ahead and just use Chessie here to banish our March Hare to draw 2, and then March Hare can just add herself back completely for free. We're going to make the Binder here. Binder will banish Ransom. No reason to banish any Cybers from deck since we've already run through all of our names, and we're going to use Binder to set GWC before we make our Firewall Dragon. March Hare here is going to banish Binder to get us our 3rd draw. Binder will summon herself back, and then we're going to link March Hare into Lingaribo just so we can add it back with Firewall Dragon. We add back the March Hare, we make our Hearts of Cryptor, and that'll be the extent of this combo without using Cyber's Wicked. So this is lower to the ground and more conservative with your resources. You get Cryptor, you get GWC, you get March Hare in hand, and also 3 draws. Alright, so now let's show what you can do with the Cyber's Wicked line if you open with White Rabbit. So the beginnings of this combo are going to be mostly the same, so I'm just going to skip the play-by-play, but with this combo, you can end on the same thing that we ended in the Dormouse combo. It's just that this combo is weaker to Nibiru, since whenever you start with White Rabbit, you can't get to Red Ransom on your 5th summon. So here, we're going to go Binder as usual, summon our Red Ransom, then go ahead and set our GWC06 before now linking into the Cyber's Wicked. We're going to use March Hare to banish TB11, and then use Wicked to banish our White Binder in order to summon White Binder and get our 3rd draw. Wicked is going to search backup Agnister, and we're going to link for Firewall here, and then Firewall can just add any name from grave to hand. Then we're going to use our backup Agnister to go ahead and search for a wizard to summon back any name, and then link all 3 into our Hearts of Cryptor, using Firewall effect to summon the March Hare from our hand. Firewall and the Wicked will go ahead and translate into a Heat Soul, which gets us another draw, and then we can link all 3 into Akko Talker. So unfortunately with this combo, we are missing 1 body, because if you remember at the beginning, we had to use TB11 early in order to establish 2 bodies and make Splash Mage. So unfortunately, we're short 1 body in order to keep Cryptor around, which means in this case, we have to summon exactly Ransom, White Binder, and Heat Soul. We aren't able to keep the Binder in grave to act as a DD Crow in conjunction with GWC06, but it's still fine in this combo since the setup is already strong enough. And then on our opponent's turn, we're going to use Heat Soul effect to draw another card, and that'll be this the extent of this Wicked combo by using White Rabbit as the starter. Alright, so what if your starter is Underground? So if your only starter is Underground, you're going to use Underground, banish Dormouse, Dormouse to banish White Rabbit, and then White Rabbit, in this case, will set your TB11 instead of your GWC06, and Splash Mage is going to go ahead and summon Dormouse, and we'll make Red Ransom. Since we already went through Underground, we are just going to search our Malice in the Mirror here, and then we have no choice but to go ahead and flip our TB11 to banish our Red Ransom, which does open us up to a pretty bad Nibiru, because TB11, if your opponent tries to Nibiru you like on the Ransom, you can just chain TB11 to banish your Ransom, and Ransom will come back on a new chain. But since we have to proactively use TB11 to banish Ransom and summon Chessie from the deck, Ransom is going to summon, and then pre-Alliance Insight, this would be a pretty good place for your opponent's Nibiru, because without March Hare, your only option to banish off of Ransom would be a second Chessie Cat, and then once you summon your Chessie Cat, your opponent can just Nibiru your whole board, and there's nothing you can really do about it. However, with the addition of March Hare, it actually makes our underground lines a bit more nib-proof, because when we summon our Ransom and banish our March Hare here, we can add our March Hare back to our hand, and now even if your opponent Nibirus you here, they'll give you a Nibiru token. You can still use your March Hare to banish your Chessie Cat from grave, since you haven't used Chessie Cat effect yet. And then you'll have Nibiru token, Chessie Cat, and March Hare, and then you can link all three for Binder, and Binder to set your GWC, and then you have your Malice in the Mirror to interrupt on your opponent's turn as well. But here we're going to go ahead and link for Lingaribo so that we can use our March Hare effect to banish our Chessie Cat from grave, and then Chessie Cat effect to summon herself back. Now, unfortunately, if your opponent has held the Nibiru for this spot, you are in a pretty bad spot. So this combo isn't entirely nib-proof. It depends on when your opponent decides to nib you. But let's say they don't decide to nib you, or rather they don't have Nibiru in their hand, then you can go ahead and use your Chessie effect here to banish your Malice in the Mirror to draw 2 cards, and the Malice in the Mirror will banish one of your names from grave in order to search for a copy of March Hare on your opponent's turn. Now, you can choose to keep the Malice in the Mirror if you want to, if you value the Mirror over the draw 2 plus March Hare. Maybe in some circumstances that would be better. It just depends on what you want to do. So after we do that, we're going to go ahead and link into White Binder. White Binder is going to just banish for Cryptor Fodder, and then we're going to White Binder and set GWC 06 from our deck. From here, we're going to normal summon the March Hare since we haven't normal summoned yet, and we can go ahead and make our Hearts of Cryptor. If you want to keep the March Hare in your hand, you can also just make Firewall Dragon by using Ransom and White Binder. You would basically be trading Cryptor for Firewall plus March Hare in hand. So whichever you think is more valuable to you, or whichever you think is better in a particular matchup, I would go for that instead. Okay, so what does it look like if we want to try and integrate the Wicked line into our Underground combo? So if we want to do that, we need 1 card to discard for the backup Administer when we use her effect, but most of this combo will remain pretty similar to the previous one. And the end board that we're going to make here is basically going to be the same as the end board that we ended on for the alternative combo in the Dormouse line, where we reserve our Firewall effect, and we have our choice of summoning the Echo Talker into the extra monster zone or into the main monster zone. So here we're just going to go through our backup and then also our wizard, link into our Cryptor, and then once we've gotten our White Binder into the graveyard, we can use our Chessie to banish Malice in the Mirror. Mirror will then banish our White Binder to search an additional name, and White Binder will special to draw us another card. Here we link the Firewall into the zone right next to White Binder, and since we haven't used our normal summon in the Underground line, we can go ahead and spend our normal summon on the March Hare, link for the Echo Talker at Ignister, and then use its effect to summon Red Ransom to the zone it points to. So again, you can summon your Echo Talker here, or you can summon it in the extra monster zone, whatever you prefer, but this is a line you can go for if you want to weave the Wicked part of the deck into your Underground combo. Alright, so in this combo, we're going to show what Backup Ignister can do as kind of like a pseudo starter. And in order for Backup to be a starter, you need to have a normal summonable monster in your hand. So if this is like a hand trap, like Fuelos, Ash, or Valor, it works because you can make Almirage. If it's a second backup, that's also fine because you can normal backup in order to make Lingaribo. Just anything that you can normal summon and make a link monster with. So we'll go ahead and normal summon Fuelos, and then link Fuelos into our Almirage, and then use Backup to search for Dormouse. We're going to send Dormouse to grave, then link for Splash Mage, and Splash Mage summon the Dormouse. Unfortunately, this combo also doesn't play around Nib, but again, your 1-card combos are pretty rarely going to happen. Most of the time, you're going to do one of the 2 or 3-card combos instead. So here, you're going to go link for Ransom, Ransom at Underground, Underground banish Mirror, and do the same thing as before to banish your Dormouse to add March Hare to your hand. Dormouse here hasn't activated yet, so we can use Dormouse effect to banish White Rabbit, and then White Rabbit is going to set GWC 06, then link all 3 into your White Binder. White Binder will banish your Ransom, Ransom will banish your Chessie since we haven't gone through Chessie yet, and then Chessie is going to we're going to set TB11 before using Chessie to banish March Hare and then add March Hare back to our hand. Then we can link for Firewall, use the effect of March Hare to go ahead and banish White Binder, and White Binder effect to summon and draw a card. We're not going for a Wicked line here since we already started our turn with backup, so no real reason to search for another backup. And we'll just link our March Hare into a Lingaribo just so our Firewall add back can add back the March Hare. And if the hand trap you normal summoned was something like an Ash or a Veiler, you can add that back with the Firewall now. Obviously, if it's a Fualos in a real game, you wouldn't add that back to your hand. But I'm just demonstrating here that whatever you use as part of the start of this combo, you can just add it back to your hand. So don't worry too much about spending a hand trap to do this combo. But here, we're going to go ahead and link into Cryptor, and then we're going to use TB11 to banish Cryptor and summon March Hare from our deck, and then Cryptor to summon herself back, then linking into a copy of Echo Talker, and then Echo Talker to summon back White Binder and also Red Ransom. Unfortunately, there's no way to keep the White Binder in the graveyard in this combo, so we're just going to have to summon it. Alright, but what if you open backup but have nothing else to normal summon with her? Well, unfortunately, if you don't have anything to normal summon with your backup Adagnister in order to make a Link monster, then your combo is going to be very limited, and you do still need a discard for this combo. But if you have only backup Adagnister and nothing else, you can use backup to search for a wizard, link for Lingaribo, use wizard to summon back your backup, you make Splash Mage to summon back just any name, and then use that to go ahead and make Heat Soul. And this is part of the reason why I do like playing Heat Soul, is it gives you something else to do in the event that this kind of hand does happen to you. But Heat Soul here is going to draw a card, and then Lingaribo is going to hopefully blank something like an Infinite Impermanence from our opponent. And then on our opponent's turn, Heat Soul is going to draw us a second card. So we've drawn 2 new cards, as well as the 3 other cards that we should have in our hand when we start the game. And that hopefully should be enough non-engine for you to clear whatever your opponent is doing, and then on the following turn, hopefully be able to play and win the game. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you found the video helpful, let us know in the comments below and by liking the video. More videos will be coming out in the future as well, so if you want to be notified of that, make sure to subscribe or join our Discord. Link will be in the description below. See everyone in the next one.